So, what does the future of tech education actually look like? It might not be what you think. Today, we're going to tear apart a real university syllabus that's taking a pretty radical new approach to training engineers.
Okay, to really get what this course is all about, you've got to see this cartoon. It perfectly and kind of painfully captures the single biggest challenge in building software. And spoiler, it has almost nothing to do with code. It's all about communication. You see how what the customer explains gets twisted and misunderstood at every single step? What the programmer builds is a total disaster, when all the customer ever really wanted was a simple tire swing. And that right there brings us to the core philosophy of this whole class. It's not just about being able to write clean code, it's about bridging that huge gap between the tech world and the human world to make sure the thing you build is the thing that's actually needed. So, the first big idea here is something that sounds simple but is actually pretty profound. Software is built by people for people. It is a fundamentally human activity. This quote nails a huge pitfall for so many engineers. The message is just crystal clear. If people find your software confusing or hard to use, it doesn't matter how elegant the code is. You can't argue a user into liking a bad design. It's a failure. End of story. Now, to put this whole people-first idea into practice, the course uses this really clever team structure. I mean, just look at these roles. They aren't lead developer or database architect. They're all about communication and making sure everyone's included. The chief equity leader's job is to make sure even the quietest person in the room gets a chance to speak. It's like building a conscience right into the team meetings. So if the philosophy is all about people, what are the actual tools the students are using? Well, this is where it gets really interesting, because it's this fascinating mashup of decades-old wisdom and the absolute cutting edge. On one hand, you have the classics. We're talking books like The Mythical Man Month, which was first published way back in 1975. These texts have these hard-won lessons about building software that are just as true today as they were then. It's all about learning from the giants who came before. And then you jump from 1975 straight to today, where students are working directly with large language models. They're not just reading about AI, they're in there, using it, exploring how the entire job of a software developer is changing in real time. And you know, this isn't just some gimmick they threw in to seem modern. The course actually has a weekly LLM Friday roundtable. It's dedicated time to really dig in and discuss the technology's impact, not just on coding, but on society as a whole. The whole point is to build responsible technologists, not just skilled ones. Okay, so they've got this people-first philosophy. They've got this mix of old and new tools. How does it all come together? Well, they're thrown into what's basically a semester-long project, a real-world gauntlet, designed to feel like an actual development job. And here's how the semester plays out. The first 5 weeks or so are all about learning the foundations, the concepts from the classic books, the new AI tools. But then from week 6 on, it's go time. They dive headfirst into this intense build phase, and it all leads up to a final demo at the end. And they're not just building it willy-nilly. They use the agile methodology, which is the exact same process that tons of professional tech companies use. Instead of trying to build everything at once, they work in these short focus cycles called sprints. The whole idea is to build and deliver working pieces of the software, little by little, constantly getting feedback and adapting as they go. Okay, now this next part might actually be the most surprising, and I think the most important part of this whole syllabus. It's how the course intentionally bakes a support system right into its structure, acknowledging that students are, human beings. I mean, just look at this. Every single student gets 2 of these 3-day extension coupons at the very start of the semester. This is literally empathy turned into a course policy. So if you're having a brutal week or life just gets in the way, you can use a coupon for a 3-day extension on a lab, no questions asked. But if you don't need them, you can actually turn them in at the end for extra credit. It gives students control and recognizes that life happens without punishing them for it. And the support doesn't even stop there. The instructor makes it a requirement to have at least 1 meeting with every single student every 3 weeks. This isn't just optional office hours. It's a deliberate policy to make sure that personal connection is a priority. So, when you put it all together, the focus on communication, the AI tools, the empathy coupons, what does this all say it takes to be a great engineer today? What's the final takeaway? And the answer is kind of mind-blowing. This isn't just an engineering course. It's a course about how to learn. They literally cover the science of how our brains work.
things like attention, memory, and what study habits are actually effective. The core idea seems to be you can't build great software if you don't first know how to build knowledge in your own mind. And so it all comes together in this complete skill set for a modern engineer. Yeah, technical proficiency is on the list, of course it is. But look at everything else that's just as important: communication, collaboration, empathy, adaptability. The goal here isn't just to graduate a great coder, but to graduate a great problem solver, a great teammate, and a great thinker. And that leaves us with this one big provocative question. As AI gets better and better at writing the code for us, are the most valuable skills no longer the technical ones, but the human ones? You know, the ability to collaborate, to understand each other, and to build things that actually matter. What do you think?